Alrighty guys, it's finally time to make some progress on this. Remember from the last video, we drug this out of a barn and just kind of pressure washed it and inventoried all the parts we have from it. It's a 66 Mustang, an absolute turd. Got it for less than $2,000. And although it's almost a complete car, just had to pick up a motor for it, that it's in pretty rough shape. And so today, we're going to be tackling a lot of the work that needs to be done. Sheet metal repairs. We're either going to put partial or full floor pans in it, and then basically get it ready to paint, like undercoat, and then drop the drivetrain in. The whole goal for this project is to kind of replicate what I did with the Camaro, which was really cheap and fun. And so we have a 302. I got it from the wrecking yard. It's got 100,000-ish miles on it. I can't remember exactly, but pretty low mileage, good condition. It's out of an Explorer, so it's got a roller cam. We're going to be putting a E303 Plus cam in it, so get around 510 lift. Try to get it around 300 to 350-ish horsepower. We've got the GT40P heads that everybody says are the best flowing factory heads that came on these, except for the real exotic stuff. For a transmission, we're getting rid of the 3-speed manual top loader. I want more than 3 speeds. I want my gear ratios to be fine. I want to have overdrive for the highway. I want it to be fun to drive. I don't want it to feel like driving a budget 60-year-old car. So I have it at home. I haven't brought it out here yet because it's going to be a while till we put it in, but I got a T5Z rebuilt with the adapters to use that modern 302 block and the Z-bar linkage for $700, which is a smoking deal and should help this thing shift and drive like brand new. And then to close out the drive line, we've got an 8.8 out of a SN95 Mustang with the drive shaft that we'll have to shorten. That'll give us rear disc brakes. We're going to convert the front to discs with these 5-lug spindles too, so swap from the i6 suspension to the V8 suspension. Basically, we're modernizing this whole drivetrain. We'll have the 60s Mustang iconic look, but we'll have powertrain out of much more modern, easy to work with stuff that should make this a real joy to drive. But before we can do all that, we have to take care of the big issue, which is that, oh yeah, sat in the barn for 20 years and was filled with Bondo and self-tappers and tin roofing. So I've cut out a lot of the metal underneath. When I got it, I thought it was pretty much rust-free other than the trunk floor. That turned out not to be the case. It already had a bad quarter job put in it. This one we're going to save, and we're just going to redo these welds. Then the trunk pan was fine enough. We ended up putting a connecting panel in there, ignore my bad welds, and we had to patch up this side, so I got sheet metal and did that, welds to the frame. We've got to fix this quarter on this side, terrible patchwork done on that end. So not quite as rust-free as I had thought. So you can see here, same issue with the seat platforms. But then also, this toe panel was pretty rotted out. It is actually full of Bondo, and it was just patched over with tin. They just laid it over and basically glued it in place with Bondo. And Bondo retains moisture if you don't do it right, and it just kept rotting underneath it. And then it kept going, past the seat to where it ties into the frame and the rear floor pan. So we're going to have to get creative with how we patch it. This floor section will cover right up to this area here, and then we'll have to play around with that area up there, make sure it's all factory strong, because I plan on ripping the wheels off this thing. I'm gonna drive it like I stole it, which I thought I did for the price I got it originally, but it's turning into a pretty involved project. But yay, floor pans, it's not like I suck at welding or anything, there's no evidence of that ever. You can see, these are all little pock marks of rust, so the metal's thinner up there. I'm putting torque boxes in it, so I might as well put the pans in it. Full pans, get the solid metal in it, because if it's going to be 350 horsepower, if I'm going to be beating the tires off of it, I want solid sheet metal, and I want to do it right. I want it to last a long time. For the first time in my life, I'm not going to cut all the corners I can. So here's the game plan. I've never done a full pan before. I've only done partial, but it sits in there pretty nicely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a Sharpie, I'm going to mark all along it, and I'm going to cut about like a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch underneath it. So I'm going to get a little bit of overlap here so I can drill, and I can add some spot welds in addition to welding all along. Then seam seal the entire pan in, and it should be rock solid. So got a lot of cutting and grinding of spot welds ahead of us. Wow, that took forever, and since I couldn't make my spot weld drill bit work for the life of me, I had to grind those spot weld areas down until I could pry them up with a screwdriver. So, pan is out in sections. Everything is clean, even on the rocker. So now, pretty good fitment. And I think now we're at the point where I can mark out the spots for the spot welds to go to the frame rail, drill holes in the pan, get it in there. We're going to self-taper it in the corners and then down the straights so it sits flat, and then we're going to weld it in. Alright, now it's time to do the other side. This one kind of got beat up in shipping and it's a little tweaked. And it's probably also because I'm not cutting out any of the pan before I just lay these down and Sharpie them out. But it actually worked really well for that side. I only have like a 1/4 inch of overlap on the entire side. If I was smarter, I would have just thrown the entire car into the trash. But now I'm locked in. This side, yeah, like I said, about perfect. Well, you guys are getting the old schizophrenic camera treatment because I keep forgetting to film what I'm doing. But basically what I did is as soon as I had those shapes cut out, I trimmed them a little bit more to get a good fit. And then I put the pans in, stood on them, got the pressure right, and got it to fit where I want. Then self-tapered them in with a couple screws there. I've burnt in the left pan now with my welder. I don't know. It's okay. My welding sucks, but now it's time to do the same thing with the right side. I've got it self-tapered in there, but I'm not really happy with the way it fits, so I'm going to mess with it a little bit, and then once it's fully situated, I'll do the same thing. And well, I ran out of gas, so we're going to have to finish this tomorrow. But I'm getting my crap welds just farted all over on the other floor pan. You know, it's fine. You know, we're going to seam sealer over all this, and you're not even going to be able to tell because then there'll be carpet over it. And what matters is they'll hold. There's good penetration. They're not like booger welds. They actually, you know, lay flat, so they don't look great because they're just a million little tacks, but it'll hold. Already burned through that tank of welding gas doing that, so. Alright, we're back. So now both the floor pans are seam welded all the way through, and I'm working on spot welds. So that pan is done. That pan is all the way in. All the spot welds are in. To do the spot welds, all I did is I used a center punch and then actually a spot weld drill bit. So I'm making a little bigger hole than a normal spot weld, but that's okay because they fill in real nice because the frame rail is thick enough gauge that you can build up the puddle on them. So I've done 7 so far. I've got a bunch more to do going up the side of the car here, and then that'll finish the driver's side floor pan and they should be done. Well, seat brackets are next. I've got them all fitted on the driver's side, and I've just drilled some holes again for spot welds, and then I'm also adding welds along the side. And then we'll do the right side. We're back on it. I got Landon back with me. Floor pans are done, and the next thing we're working on is patching this rear quarter. So I ordered a full quarter skin since it needed a little bit bigger than that little quarter patch there. Clean this up, run a couple tack welds, make sure everything lines up right, and then do a full bead, and we'll have a complete quarter. All right, got the quarter all pretty much in position. Doesn't sit perfectly, but we're just gonna trim it to match, and you know, it'll be fine. We're not doing what's the show?
Fast and Loud.
Fast and Loud, yeah.
We're doing a Fast and Loud restoration.
We have a slow and sad. That's our. No, it's it'll be fun. It'll be fun. But low buck, medium effort. That's what we're going for.
Yeah, exactly.
There, that's a good fit, I think.
First try.
Yeah, that's right. Number 1. Now it's not tight in there, but that's basically what it's going to look like. And we'll get it pressed in there. Maybe get a bottle jack from the floor and apply some pressure while we weld it. Weld these in, and then maybe I'll drill 3 extra holes here to spot weld it. Ow. So basically the end goal here now is to just finish all the sheet metal and then paint the entire underside and the floor pans before we start putting the 8.8 and the 302 and the 5-speed in it. And right now what I've done is just take pretty much all the front suspension away. I've got to get rid of, I don't know what those are called, drag loom? I don't know. I got to update my vocabulary. Torque boxes are in, pans are in. Go underneath here, the whole underside is pretty much gutted. We've We've got a little bit of finish patching to do on the trunk panel right there. That should just be a quick little patch. The name of the game now is just a whole lot of quality time with the wire wheel and the grinder to get this surface flat. Then we go over it with seam sealer over the clean metal, and then we do gallons and gallons of rust encapsulator paint, underside and floorboards, and then we start putting the drivetrain back in it. Then we'll worry about interior once the drivetrain and suspension are in, and then we'll finally worry about finished body work and paint. If I'm ever patching a floor pan and it has like, I'm like cutting out like a weird geometry and it's not like just a square, here's what I do. I just throw a bunch of layers of tape down. This is like 3 layers of tape. And then I'll take an X-Acto knife and you can see like the outline of the cut I've made. And so you just rub it a little bit and it'll show that outline. And once you have that showing all around the tape, what you're going to do is you're going to cut that tape out. And then you just lay it flat on your piece of scrap metal that you're making your dirty little patch out of. And it gets you pretty close. And you can always true it up on a grinder and make that nicer fit before you weld it in. Bam, like that. And then whoop-ha, like that. I ran out of welding gas, so I'm actually just kind of winding down for the night here, but that's going in fairly well. Well, we've been pretty bad about filming, but made a lot of progress on the car. So what I did after we got the pans in and the patches in is you sand the entire surface with just 80 grit like sponge blocks. Then you wrap it or wipe it down with lacquer thinner. And then what I'm using is this Eastwood Rust Encapsulator Plus. Just brushed it on, 2 coats on the underside and the interior. So floor is done. Underneath the car today, we just finished laying it down there. So underneath is ready to go. So last stretch we have of painting to do is to do the area where the doors and fenders go in, and then all into the suspension mounts on the front. Engine bay is going to get a gloss paint, so we're going to do that probably in the spring when we put the engine in. But yeah, this is the last stretch of paint, and I, like a raccoon, you can see the outline of my respirator. It's been rough, but I'm so ready to be done with this step. All right, so here's where I'm at. I've got this fender well area painted. All of the pan is painted all through the trunk, and then the underside is painted. So that is about it for the body and all the chassis. Obviously not the actual exterior body work. That needs to be done and redone. But for now, we're at the stage where we can finally work on the rear and front suspension, get it sitting on its wheels again, get the engine and transmission into the car. We have a good base to build off of now. So this is huge progress. I'm feeling pretty good. It took me about 3 months from getting the car to getting to this point. And the rest of the car is probably going to take me over a year till it's running and driving, and more than that to finish, just because I'm on a chill timeline and a strict budget. So we'll see where we get. But for now, this is going to be the first update for this project.